System. Sure enough, it's not a fake. The knot of how many years had finally been lifted. Mark likes gaming, there is no doubt about it. But no one does not want to be able to play on the field. Mark is no exception, and now finally have the opportunity and the strength to do so. However, the problem came. The match was taken care of, but what about the one at home? How Mark hoped. Yesterday's things, just his own fantasy. But when pushed open the door of his room, found that all this is where the reality is, especially after seeing Isabella's appearance. That was even more skeptical. There was nothing wrong with the dress, nothing wrong with the posture. But what was she doing now? Washing clothes? But what was being washed was not her own clothes, but Mark's clothes. And in his hand, there was a color-faded SpongeBob SquarePants. This moment, Mark was not calm again and said, "What are you doing?" After seeing Mark come back, Isabella was also a bit surprised, saying, "Back so early? I remember you are a player, right? Are the rules of LPL so humanized now?" "No. You answer my question first. What are you doing?" Isabella froze for a moment and said, "Huh? What for?" "Washing your clothes, of course, Mark. For the sake of your and my future life of service, you need to pay a little attention. This little dress is off the line. Don't need you to say. And the future? Married life? Who promised? I'll do this on my own later." Isabella seriously refused, saying, "No way. This is a wife's duty. You must promise me." "Absolutely. Even if you don't promise, I'll still secretly wash it." Mark was about to say something else, but Isabella grabbed the thing and just wouldn't let go. "Is this food protection?" "But it's not food." In the end, what could Mark say? Just be happy. Hearing this, the expression on Isabella's face instantly changed from the seriousness of a moment ago to a smile as she said, "It's long overdue. But Mark, you've been wearing this for a long time, haven't you? I can buy you 2 pieces when we go to the mall. This one really should be on its own, shouldn't it?" But sadly, Isabella doesn't care about that at all. And after doing her laundry, Isabella also changes into a different outfit and then gets ready to head to the mall. And it's clear that at this point, Isabella that's very happy. This is a meeting after many years. Now it was even more important to go out together. Isabella was very much looking forward to it. Where are we going next? Eat? Shopping? Watching a movie? And then, what are you fantasizing about? It's not clear, but it's definitely not a wholesome picture. And sometimes Mark wonders what the one in front of him has been through. How did he become like this? Seems like he used to be like this. What's the difference between men and women? Doesn't exist. Eat, wear, and live together, even wash together. Epsilon sad face, Omicron asterisk. Ugh. When I was small, this was like this, and after I grew up, I just became a little more bold. Thinking about this, Mark was also a little helpless, glancing at Isabella, saying, "What are you wearing on this body?" "My clothes. If you're not allowed to wear them, then I'll take them off." "Don't." After good words, this made Isabella stop that next action. Have to say, people look good where anything is good. Don't look at Isabella body of men's clothing, but that posture is still very good. Just from the back can be seen. This is definitely a big beauty. But that's not what I'm paying attention to now. Let's go clothes shopping first. To what place? Of course, is the old Wong's Wanda. This place Mark is quite familiar, although weekdays do not come. But Who Let IG Club is also the product of the old Wong's family. For this reason, the clothes, food, housing, and transportation on weekdays all come from this side. Even IG's building is a product of this side. How could Mark not be familiar with it? He was familiar with it. But Isabella's place was definitely his first time here. What's this? Cotton candy. Do you want to eat it? Can I eat it? What's not to eat? The LCK side wants me to stay in shape, so these aren't allowed. Hearing this, Mark nodded his head. No one was as glamorous as the one on the surface. For example, these 4 golden flowers of LPL, no matter on the stage or inside the public perspective, they were all generous and glamorous. But behind the scenes, they also have their own efforts, such as training language, learning game understanding. Isabella is no different. If not for that, Isabella wouldn't have become the LCK's #1 host. Didn't you retire from the game? You used to be the host of LCK, but not anymore. Eat up. That too. Then what am I now? You said. A newlywed wife who keeps working hard and challenging her own bottom line in order to please her husband. Why does that sentence feel off? Especially how you're speaking with a pouty face. That's even more wrong. And that boss who made the cotton candy. When he looked at Mark, that gaze was also odd. This was clearly a misunderstanding of something. But what could Mark say? Pulling Isabella along. But this was just the beginning. Shopping was a girl's nature, and Isabella was no different. But after every dress she tried on, she had to let Mark see it with his own eyes. I have to say, good-looking people look good in anything. After all, the clothes thing is the icing on the cake. The clothes look good. Mark was also willing to look at them. Beauty feeds the eyes. But the outside is fine. Can you not let Mark see the inside? Even Mark are a little taut. This girl, the level is too high. Mark, you see, this is the clothes I bought for you. It's a set with me. Mark was completely speechless. If Isabella bought him new clothes, this one is naturally happy. But this is buying small clothes. Please wear it to whom? You and me? And are you sure this is a set? Other than the colors are all black, the others have nothing to do with each other. You take it back, don't take it out. Cut. On this day, Mark was either spitting or on his way to spitting. On weekdays Mark, that is as steady as a mountain. How big a thing in front of him? That is the past cloud smoke. After all, this is the reborn. Acceptance ability is naturally strong. But today, the broken defense does not know how many times. Sure enough, women are a magical creature. Just when Mark was about to open his mouth to say something, Isabella suddenly opened her mouth and said, "Mark, I am hungry. Can we go eat? I haven't eaten much all day today." Pulling Mark's finger, that look was pitiful and resigned. In itself, Mark had a lot to say, but now he couldn't say a single word. What else could it say? Can only nod his head and say, "Good. Let's go eat Szechuan food. There shouldn't be any on your side." Yes, as long as Mark is there, anything we eat is delicious. Finished speaking, Isabella took Mark's hand and left. That smile was very bright. For Mark, it was probably pain and pleasure. And for Isabella, this was her happiest day. And as for giving up on hosting, Isabella didn't have the slightest bit of regret, because the reason why she got in touch with this industry was because Mark liked it. So that's why she approached it, and now she can accompany Mark. Host. What's that? Enjoying the present is right. Living together, eating together, laughing together. This was the happiness that belonged to Isabella. But just as she was immersed with this, an image was framed. Click. A photo was placed online. Shocked. Isabella has come to LPL. She is suspected to be dating a male of her age. Is he Isabella's marriage partner? An inconspicuous post that instantly triggered the entire forum. A certain poker, the largest gaming forum in China, there was no one of its kind, in which there were at least a few million active users who would talk about all sorts of things here, focusing on what they wanted to focus on. However, at this moment, many people's eyes were attracted by this post. Really? Upstairs is stupid, right? This has a picture, and you're still asking if it's true or not. It's Isabella? This is Isabella, and it looks like she's wearing men's clothes? Oh my god, who is this? Cowboy. The man can't see his face. How did he take the picture? Owner. The time is too short, the cell phone is too bad, the distance is too far, the photo is not clear. Who the hell is it? LPL natives or foreign users? Isabella is from the gaming circle. The target should be from the gaming circle as well. It should be a player. It's possible. In an instant, how many people started discussing it? A post that directly built a building of 10,000 floors. That number was very scary. However, not only in the country, it was the same abroad. Especially on the LCK side. At this time, inside the SKTT1 club, everyone is knocking on the keyboard. In the past, the club, that is full of active atmosphere. But in the present, at this time, that everyone did not dare to breathe a breath of air. The reason was simple. Isabella. After yesterday's official announcement, there was one person who had been in a kind of slump. That person was none other than Faker. The Faker at this time had already started a game, and it was seconds to pick a hijack. You are Isabella, also hijack. That scene slaughtered the whole field. This day is the nightmare of the whole Korean service. It's also SKTT1's nightmare. Who dares to speak? No one. They could only train in silence. That's all they could do. But there are those who are not afraid to die. Peanut. This one belonged to the ROX team in S6, and only transferred to SKTT1 this year, belonging to SKTT1's newcomers, for which he was more active in all aspects, and for which he also raised his own question. As for it, isn't it just a woman? Hearing this, SKTT1's several people's face changed, especially his side of this named Hyuni's top single player. That changed the most. Immediately is open, said. Do not say these wanna die? Little Peanut, not. If really like, then go after You think Faker didn't take action all kinds of sidekick. Isabella doesn't like hair messy people. He began to organize his hair. Isabella doesn't like melon skin. He began to pay attention to his own situation, and then, haven't fixed it, was copied. It had the feeling that the self-center was still developing. Then, the crystal was stolen. So where did Isabella go? Hyuni. That's the problem. No contact at all? Then look for it. Hyuni. Where to look? Online. After hearing Little Peanut's words, Hyuni here wondered if he had misread them. People have retired from the circle. How to find this? If it could be found, would Faker still be like this? However, after searched a bit, an interface appeared in front of the two, saying, look. Found it. This just happens to be the dynamic from 5 minutes ago. Are all newcomers so fierce nowadays? Can they even find it? But after finding it, these guys' faces turned green. Shocked. Isabella actually went to LPL and dated a strange man, hand in hand. Demeanor is very intimate. That heat, it was high. If before it was just not being able to find it, it was just being stolen crystals. This is a direct cut off of hope, crystal shattering. This thing absolutely can't let Faker know. You have to know that the match is tomorrow. This year, SKTT1's record is not very good. Now the points are only the 4th place in the LCK. There is no problem to advance to the playoffs. But what about the Intercontinental Tournament after that? It's not clear. Now out of this file, faker mentality how can not be affected? So, for the tournament afterward, this thing absolutely must be kept secret. Cuny is so think right, others? Bang woif. Should all be this mentality. But what about Little Peanut? This person's character is a little jumpy. Simply put, is a little not long brain, completely regardless of how the consequences. Directly is the opening said, Faker. You come over to see, we have something to say to you. At this moment, a few of SKTT1 had the urge to kill someone. Are you the legendary pig teammate, right? Perhaps at this time, Faker's state was very poor, but after hearing his teammates calling him, he also looked up. Little Peanut. I found it. Not waiting for Little Peanut to finish, Cuny opened his mouth and said, we found a very delicious barbecue restaurant. Want to go eat together? No. Hearing Cuny's words, Little Peanut froze. That wasn't what he was going to say. But without waiting for this one to continue speaking, WOF also interrupted and said, look, we've been eating boxed lunches lately, and we're getting tired of it. So let's go out and eat something nice. WOF, right. No need for you to pay for it. We'll just share it equally. Little Peanut still wanted to speak, but was glared at by the three, and all of a sudden, didn't dare to speak. Who dares to speak here? After hearing this, Faker frowned slightly, and in the end, still opened his mouth, saying, good, you just arrange it. Okay. After seeing Faker nod, Cuny also breathed a sigh of relief. At the same time, he also gave Little Peanut a vicious look. Sure enough, not afraid of godlike opponents, but afraid of pig-like teammates. Nowadays, Little Peanut perfectly meets all the conditions of pig teammates, but who let this is SKTT1's playing field? Can only first endure. After he is not a teammate, beat you to death. But now it was a blessing in disguise, at least it was hidden. As for the issue of the roast, it was all trivial. Just arrange it. And they really wanted to get together, so? Went anyway. And Faker followed. Everything, it was all so perfect. But, a saint with 1,000 thoughts can make a mistake. Still bad. Bad on the Little Peanut. This one left. The computer was not even turned off, but brightly lit there, all at a glance. Saw it. When Faker saw this, that face instantly sank. Sure enough, just as Faker was thinking, a teammate's voice came from outside the door. Huh? Where's Lee? Doesn't seem to be out. Should be getting dressed. I'll call out. Hearing this, Faker soothed from that negative emotion. At the same time, he understood what had just happened. What roast? It was just to digress. Why was it like that? Faker naturally knew that maybe the person in front of him was important, but there were more important things right now, and his teammates were doing this for him. How could he possibly fail his teammate? This matter had a great impact, but it definitely couldn't affect the match afterward. The issue of feelings will be discussed afterward, right now. First take care of everything in front of him. Only to see Faker take a deep breath and said, here it comes. No need for you guys to break the bank this time. Just leave it to me. I'll go. Brother Lee's treating. No. I'll pay my share. The moment these words came out, the entire group fell silent. One can only say, no shame, is you. Meanwhile, on the LPL side, Magic City, a man and a woman were sitting on a park bench that had a satisfied face, especially Isabella here, who hadn't eaten so much in a long time. In the past, when they were in LCK, that had to stay in shape. So pay attention to your diet. Less sugar, less calories, less spice. Now there was no need for that. Feeling the saturation in her abdomen, Isabella suddenly thought of something and said, eating so full. It's been a long time since I've eaten this much, Mark. What if I get fat? What to do? What does it have to do with me? Woo, just watch. Isabella's little face bulges. For a moment, Mark was embarrassed. Okay, this said change face and then change face. This said angry and then angry. Fat is fat. Good-looking people, even if they are a bit fat, they will still be exquisite. Otherwise, how would there be the word plump? That's true. After hearing this, Isabella laughed, took Mark's arm, and said, Mark is the best. Go. Let's take advantage of the situation and hurry to get married and get a license. Hurry up and get it over with. Hearing this, Mark was speechless for a long time. This person is still not dead-hearted. Let's talk about this later. It's getting late. It's time to go back. Good. After saying that, Mark walked away. Isabella, who was following behind, had a little bit of disappointment on her face, but was also very motivated. Because of what Mark just said, at the beginning of the meeting, Mark's answer was a complete refusal, even stating that this is already a modern society. So what kind of marriage contract? That doesn't count. And now, the attitude has completely changed. Talk about it later? Maybe the progress bar of the strategy is long, but at least there is a little progress. Immediately is followed up, said, what later? You did teach me Chinese. That's called talking about it later. Come, I'll help you carry a few bags. You bought quite a lot of stuff this time. Mark, it's all yours. Where did you get the money? Did you change it at the bank? No, from my mother-in-law. This moment, Mark felt like he wasn't facing a person, but an organization. Thinking of his own mom with that look and that mentality, this was really possible. What can Mark say? Let's do this first. Go home. Play a few handfuls of rank. Because the big number is the official super number, hidden points are very high. For this reason to row for too long, so at home, Mark usually use a small number. After acquiring the system, Mark's strength soared. 3 years of hard work. Let Mark's consciousness and also experience have been greatly improved. In order to make up for the lack of strength, Mark would go to understand some things that players don't quite go to understand, such as how many minutes the minions refresh, how much blood will be increased in each wave. For example, how many minutes do the minions refresh, and how much blood does each wave add? How long does it take for wilds to refresh, and how much attack power does each refresh add? How long it takes to brush the field, the difference between top to bottom and bottom to top. Everything. All in Mark's mind. This is the theoretical knowledge of the game. There are times when it can be used, but there are times when Mark can't react, even if there is a chance to use it. Even if he had the chance to use it, it would be of average use. But now it was all used. Even Mark was able to speculate the movement of the opponent's playing field. Be careful on the upper road. The opponent's playing field will arrive on the upper road within 5 seconds. What the hell? Even Isabella was a bit unconvinced, saying, how can that be? It's not like you have vision. What if it appears? Isabella, then I'll give my body to you. After seeing the change of expression on Mark's face, Isabella also opened her mouth with a little loss, saying, Che, I'm just kidding. If it's really like what you said, then I'll give you a kiss. Does that make a difference, please? But Mark didn't say too much more, since he could predict all this. He definitely had to take some action. So, Mark maneuvered the hero on the screen and headed to the upper road. And at the same time, Mark started counting down. 5, 4, 3, 2. Not waiting for one to exit, a figure appeared on the upper road. Coincidentally, it was the opposite side's playing field. At this moment, the whole court was shocked. Because this is the game, there is no microphone, are using typing to communicate, so the whole teammates naturally also saw the news, the beginning of the time they do not believe. Now, believe it. The mantis catches the cicada, the yellow bird is in the back. A direct wave of rapping, the upper field is completely destroyed. At this moment, the wind direction of the entire game changed. Crap, Big Brother's cowhide. This is too strong, isn't it? Strong and invincible. This was inside the game. While inside reality, Isabella was first in disbelief, and then the whole person fell into an information state, hugged Mark, and started shaking. Yay, Mark is awesome, willing to bet. Mua. Luckily, Mark had the foresight to block this wave of offense with his pure left hand. After seeing this action of Mark's, Isabella couldn't help but murmur, it's no fun. Pay attention, you're a girl. Isabella, yes. Continuing to watch Mark compete, this is his training routine. Yesterday, he went from Diamond 1 to Master, and today, he was directly hitting the Master segment of 200 points, which actually wasn't too high, and just reached the threshold of playing in a tournament. But the main thing was the win rate. 15 wins in a row, this record was definitely proud of the crowd. It was very strong. What time is it? It's 12 o'clock. Time to go to bed. No? In a fight. Can we pick Leopardus to play the field? I like to see Leopardus as a hero. This wasn't like he was an on-demand station. You could use whatever you said. This depended on the lineup. But Mark didn't say it explicitly. Just let out a yawn and said, it's almost time. It's time to go to bed. We still have to go to the club tomorrow. You're tired today too, right? Look at this, eyes can't even open. No way. Isabella was verbally refusing, but she still couldn't help but let out a yawn. Today, she went out at noon and came back at night. And on the way, Isabella didn't rest for half a minute, and now she stayed up even deeper until 12 o'clock. So how could she not be sleepy? Seeing this appearance of Isabella, Mark laughed and said, okay, go to bed early. We'll talk about tomorrow's things tomorrow. Good. Isabella nodded her head. Mark also breathed a sigh of relief and stretched a lazy waist, ready to go for a good night's sleep. And just then, Isabella suddenly spoke up and said, Mark, you dropped something. What dome? But just as Mark turned around, Isabella took the initiative to A up. The moment, Mark froze. This picture, he had seen it on TV dramas, but it was usually a man, a woman. Now how did it suddenly turn around? It was only after a long time that the two separated. Isabella's cheeks were slightly red as she said, this is my first kiss. You have to be responsible for me. First kiss. Responsible? At this time, Mark's brain was really blank. What should this say? What should this think about? Just when Mark was about to open his mouth, Isabella continued. Just kidding. This is the promise of the bet just now. If it's true, I'll give you a kiss. A bet? Seems like there's this. Then why are you kissing your face? Why are you kissing somewhere else? But the next second, Isabella whispered. This is indeed a bet, yes. But it's also my first kiss, so? Remember this feeling well, that. Good night. Go to bed early. Wish you good dreams. First kiss. It was something wonderful. It was the same here, and after Mark left, Isabella felt her heartbeat continue to accelerate. eventually reaching a speed that she couldn't reach on a regular day. Isabella's entire body was seen rolling back and forth on the bed. She had prepared herself too much, but when it came to actually performing it, the shyness couldn't be hidden. The shyness was real. After all, was it the first kiss? But then, this mindset gradually smoothed out. Feeling the sensation left on her lips, Isabella's cheeks reddened even more, but there was also more of a smile. It turns out that first kiss is this kind of feeling, At the same time. Meanwhile, Mark's state was similar to Isabella's, and even in that heartbeat appeared to accelerate. Exactly. Maybe this is the feeling of heartbeat. But Mark here is not admitting that all of a sudden, good brother turned into a wife. I'm not sure if he's a good friend or a good wife. Who can accept this? Take your time. Just like this thought, Mark gradually fell asleep. That day, Mark had a dream. He dreamt that he had 2 children, a wife and a child. And who his mother was, need I say more? At first, Mark did not admit it. But he had to admit it. Sentiment. Maybe that's it. After coming out, Isabella was cooking in the kitchen. After seeing Mark waking up, this one was also a bit puzzled, saying, "Why did you wake up so early today? You wait for a while. The food will be ready soon." Have to say, Isabella cooks very well and cleans up very well. When living alone, Mark almost seldom cooks. For that reason, his cooking skills are average. Many times he relies on takeout. Now he can eat a meal. That feels good too. Especially thinking about the one from yesterday. Even Mark had a smile appear on his face. That feeling was also good. It was right in itself. It was very happy. The premise is that Isabella does not have this dress. At this time, Isabella is still the same suit yesterday. The front is okay. But what about the back? Mark also blushed and said, "That, Isabella, all bought clothes for you. Don't wear this set in the future." "No, I changed my clothes. Look, this was bought yesterday." Indeed changed. Little clothes? But what's the difference between this and not changing? At this moment, Mark was powerless to spit out. Itself just now there was a little bit of small touching, a little cozy, and now it is also completely wiped out. In front of the eyes this is the old driver. Don't care how much experience. Anyway, the theory is very strong. After eating, Mark was also preparing to get ready to head to the club, while Isabella, who stayed behind, was also tidying up the house. Also went to Mark's bedroom to tidy up a bit. Found clothes to change out of. The clothes on his body are still the team uniform. This is something the players have to wear, but inside, it's all Isabella's choice of clothes. Does this person say no with their mouth, but still like it in their heart? Isabella smiled. That felt good. Obviously, Mark didn't know about this stuff and had seen Rookie on the road who was working out. This one was working very hard at the moment. In order to get a girlfriend, this person is trying his best, but the result is not very good, because this person just ran 1 kilometer and already can't catch his breath. Mark saw Rookie after, also cannot help but open the mouth, said, "You this physique? Not too good, Rookie is also helpless, said, "There is no way, I'm not exercising for a long time, and all of a sudden I came to such a wave. I really can't stand it a bit, no way. That's it. Hungry. Want to go eat breakfast together? This time I'll treat you." "No, I've already eaten." "Rookie, made it yourself?" Friend made it." "A friend made it?" In Rookie's impression, Mark seems to live alone, suddenly. Rookie thought of something. With a face of sudden realization, said, Hey, you tell the truth, you are not handing over a girlfriend." How to say so? "Rookie, you're not denying it, which means there really is one." "Who is it? Tell me." "Girlfriend? Isabella?" Honestly, Mark did develop some wonderful feelings for Isabella, especially after the kind of thing he did yesterday, which became even more subtle. But girlfriend? It didn't seem to have gotten to that point yet. Don't think too much. This one really isn't for now. There really isn't one. Rookie frowned slightly. Although he didn't think Mark would lie, this one wasn't stupid either, and felt that there was something fishy about this, as it could be seen from the changes in the past 2 days. In here, there must be something. But Mark had denied this matter, so what was it? Rookie wasn't sure either. After all, he wasn't Sherlock Holmes, so naturally he couldn't deduce these things. Can only be to continue to exercise. But before that, go eat breakfast first. Only when you're full will you have the strength to lose weight. Coming to the club, after Chris saw Mark, he also nodded and said, "Mark, you're in a good mood. It seems like you had a good time with your girlfriend yesterday." "Where's the girlfriend?" "No, I see that you are in a good mood these 2 days." "Have I?" Mark was a bit puzzled, because it seemed to him as if he was no different from his usual days. Perhaps this is even the legendary authorities. After Mark asked this question, his own teammates, such as Chloe, the top single, and Kid, the playing field, both of them nodded their heads silently. "Right. In the past, you used to train all kinds of things, and it was hard to have a smile on your face, but now you're smiling all the time." "Is that so?" It seemed like it. Since Isabella's arrival, there may have been times when her behavior confused Mark, but it was also something that made the mundane days a little more interesting. Before, the days were 1,000 times the same, and now, Has some more character. At least it would surprise Mark a little. A surprise indeed. So do you have a girlfriend? That one. Mark didn't know what to say for a moment, but didn't wait for this one to answer. Duke here found out something else. That is, gossip. Come look guys, guess what I found? My God. This. Isabella is actually coming to LPL. Can you guys believe it? It's true. What the hell? Even Mark couldn't help but lean in. What was happening? It was a photograph. Probably because the distance was a bit far away, the picture quality was a bit blurry, but you could definitely see the woman's appearance clearly. It was definitely Isabella, but the person on the side didn't get a clear shot. It didn't even capture the front face. Isabella came to LPL. Who's so cowboy? Who is this guy? He's walking around the mall hand in hand. Bullskin. My big LPL. I can't believe there's this kind of talent. A time, gossip up. Mark here also did not expect this was actually photographed. Or Mark underestimated Isabella's popularity. Did not expect that in this LPL, Isabella also has its own fans, but fortunately, did not shoot Mark's face. Otherwise it may have to be an accident. Just when Mark breathed a sigh of relief, Kid suddenly opened his mouth and said, "This seems to be our mall here. Yesterday Mark seems to have gone there too. Could it be, Mark? You?" As soon as these words came out, Mark couldn't help but tense up. Is this revealing? But just as Mark was about to say something, Duke suddenly opened his mouth and said, "You don't mean to say that this man is Mark, right? How is this possible? When did Mark hook up with Isabella?" Also, if you look at it from a male and female perspective, these two are a good match. A handsome guy and a beautiful girl. But from a human point of view, that's a no-go. Where was Isabella? In LCK? And Mark? In LPL? Not to mention before, during all this time in IG, the chances of going out were less. So how could he possibly cross paths with Isabella? Don't think too much. It's totally impossible. Also, hearing this, Mark also breathed a sigh of relief. It wasn't exposed yet. In fact, it was no big deal if it was exposed. After all, this was his own teammate. So Mark was still relatively relieved. But in the next second, Duke opened his mouth and said, "It's a pity. If only you were there, Mark, then it would have been great to know who that man was." Even if you knew, would it have done any good? You wouldn't be able to do that to Isabella. Duke laughed and said, "I have no idea about Isabella. I don't like the imperial type. Don't you guys feel that's too unromantic? I like smaller ones." This moment, the face of the whole IG staff was odd. After coming to LPL, Duke had always been silent, at most gossiping a few more words, and had thought that the character was so. But whoever thought that this is a stuffy no wonder always liked to play Bobby, Rambo, NAL. It turns out so. At least this hobby really, not very good. After noticing the gazes of a few people around him, Duke was a bit puzzled and said, "What are you guys doing? Why are you looking at me like this? Is there something on my face?" The IG shook their heads. "No, there isn't." Then, IG phew. "Let's talk about this first." Duke, "Right. Let's talk about this first. I have no idea about Isabella, but Faker has. If we can tell him, we can surely gain a considerable amount of money." A few of the IG's faces went odd at this comment. It was expected to be at least rumors. But this ex-teammate had said so. So this matter was definitely not far from the truth. For the few of IG, this was gossip. But for Mark? I don't know why, but after hearing these words, Mark's heart had some bad feelings. At the same time, Mark was also a bit thankful that he hadn't been in a hurry to confess. Obviously, Duke was serious. At this moment, Mark only had one thought. "Brother, this idea of yours is very dangerous. You're called selling out your teammates, you know?" But Mark didn't say anything. Letting them continue to discuss the gossip, Mark went to conduct the rank training. And just as these guys were discussing the hot fire, Chris suddenly spoke up and said, "Mark, get ready. For the match the day after tomorrow, you're on the court." "What did you say? How can you say something so important so lightly? And can he play? Can he? It's kind of unbelievable." Even Mark made sure, saying, "Coach, what did you say? Are you going to let me play? Did I hear you right? I haven't even played much in practice games. Sure I can. Right? I've already set it up. Get ready." Yes. How could Mark not be excited? It's been 3 years. Even Mark had been thinking about the possibility of being on the field. Now it was possible to get on. How could it be possible to keep a normal heart? After seeing Mark's appearance, Chris was not happy, but only a kind of heartache. How good would it be if Mark could have talent? It's a pity that such a hard-working person. At the same time, an idea appeared in Chris's mind. Maybe the chances were small, but still, he had to find a team for Mark. The top teams couldn't work, but the small teams should be able to, right? If he, the head coach, stepped forward, there was every chance of taking it down. "I'll do it." So the contact went. Esports Backing Group. The name of this group looked generic, and it even felt like this should be a group for esports fans. Unfortunately, wasn't. This was an official group. Almost all of the official staff were in it. What with EDG's Yanni, RNG's Foam, IM's Firefox, OMG's TY, and the hosts, referees, commentators, and so on. Almost all of them are in there. Chris, Master segment playing field, experienced, awareness of the old way, need private chat. DDT. Soon. Messages began. LGD Coach Kim. Huh? Chris spoke? You're recommending players. Chris. Yeah. LGD Coach Kim. No. IG also has a Masters fielder. Is it Kid? Chris. No. I think Kid is a king. EDG head coach Yanni. It's not Kid. It's the fielding player on IG's replacement list who has been hovering around the subsistence line. No way. This kind of player, you're going to find a team for him too? Play it. RNG head coach Foam. That's the one, Mark. Seems to be this supposedly very hardworking, but not talented. How can this play professionally? There's no way we'll take him. VG head coach Fumando. He's the one. VG head coach Fu Manchu. No. A player like this, no one in the LSBL is expected to want him. So why don't you stop talking about this and stay on your own team as a mascot? For a while, a lively atmosphere came from inside the group. Seeing these remarks, Chris was uncomfortable in his heart and wanted to refute them, but these people were right. Esports rely on talent. Effort is good, but in front of talent, effort is that worthless. Chris is also a little helpless, really. Hopeless? Chris also wanted Mark to stay in IG. But can stay? It felt that this was also a little too cruel for Mark, and even a little waste of time. In itself, Chris had no intention of talking in the group, but just as he was about to leave, a person appeared, making the eyes of many people on the scene light up. Youth Training Department Manager Yin Xiaomei. ID. I have a small flower. Position ADC, Segment Master. Recent win rate of 75%. Good at storming lowly. VN. When this person came out, how many people brightened up? Because inside the group, there was this kind of person. They were invited by the official to select potential seeds in each region, and then for the battle teams present to pick. It was important to realize that this thing called a player had to be cultivated. It needs to be cultivated. Waiting for him to become talented on his own. This was clearly impossible. It was best to start cultivating from the seedling. Only then could they carry the flag at critical moments. Finding these people is the job of the manager of the youth training department. However, is in here. Finally, an ID appeared. ID Mortal. Position, playing field. Segment, Master 200 points. Winning percentage, 17 wins in a row. At first, those present felt that this was a joke. Before the recommended IDs, almost all of them are masters of more than 400 points, suddenly appeared at 200 points. This is looking down on people? But after seeing the win rate, that's not calm. EDG head coach Yanni. 17 wins in a row? Really? We head coach Grant. It seems to be true. I checked. Really? VG head coach Fu Manchu. It's okay. And it's still a 2-day, 17-game winning streak. Is it just luck? OMG head coach TT. Try winning 17 games in a row. LGD head coach Kim. Faker has to be called Big Brother when he comes, right? This wave of operation really blew up the entire arena. The battle record is too strong. And is 2 days, so if you give him a little time, the national service first are possible. VG head coach Fu Manchu. This one is mine. Don't steal it from me. EDG head coach Yanni. Who said it's yours? This is still mine. We head coach Grant. Let's see who can make contact. Let's see who's got what it takes. It blew up. Even Chris began to pay attention to this ID. After all, the streak was something rare. It could be a substitute trainer. But even if it was a substitute trainer, 17 consecutive victories was terrifying. For this reason, Chris also asked IG's manager, also known as Xiaolu, to pay a little attention. But it was only a little attention. If you can take it, it's better to have one more teammate than one more opponent. And in the hall, after getting this news, Mark was also very happy. Since this was the case, he trained hard and logged into the account. But after seeing the ID, he also laughed. What's with logging on to a smaller number? Definitely going to use a big number at the club. Said. Going offline. It was a simple action, but if Chris saw what was going on here, he would definitely be shocked to the point of dislocating his jaw. Because Mark's ID was clearly mortal. Obviously, no one at IG knew this, because Mark trained for so long that he would rarely get to a trumpet and wouldn't use one at the club, and for that reason no one knew this. And the ID, it doesn't seem to have anything to do with Mark, but has something to do with it too. Mortal means mundane. Mark, ordinary person. Yet, now, from the time this ID went up to the eyes of others, this ID was anything but ordinary. Effort. Training. Mark was happy, but his teammates were not, because they knew that this was Mark's first and last match, so they decided that this match, they must bring Mark to the end. Win. Must win. At least let Mark go in style. Obviously, Mark didn't know what his teammates were thinking and continued to immerse himself inside his own world. On to the game. Anticipation. And then there was the system's reward, not knowing what it would be. Soon, the day's training was over, and this time, Mark went back earlier. In fact, it is not early. It is already 9 o'clock in the evening. But when Mark was ready to go back, the whole team of IG froze. This one even left so early? I don't think so. So early. Go Go back early today. Why did he go back so early? At this moment, a few people from IG were certain that this one must have a girlfriend. Duke, people with girlfriends are different. Chloe, who is this girlfriend? Is it from the circle? Kid, I don't think so. I remember Mark's family is quite good. Rookie, are you sure that's just pretty good? Kid, very good. They vaguely remembered that when Mark first came to IG, he was carrying a $1 million watch, wearing clothes that were around 6 figures, and just about anything on his body was something that many people wouldn't dare to think about in their lifetime. And it was this kind of person who came to apply for a job as a member of the youth training team with a salary of $2,500 a month. Who dares to imagine this? Picture? In the beginning, maybe some people thought it was fake. But with Mark buying a house in the neighborhood, this kind of idea is also completely disappeared. This is not rich. This is super rich, okay? What kind of place is Magic City? Especially in this core area, it's horrible. Chloe, could it be the legendary mansion marriage? Kid, it's possible. I feel sorry for Mark. There are still arranged marriages in this era. Roki, arranged marriages are not bad. Kid, do you know why many emperors in the past had short lives? Because their concubines were all dinosaurs. Rookie, I don't need you to say this, I know, but look at Mark, he's happy. Maybe that object of others is a rich white beauty. Also, a few of the IGs nodded their heads at one comment. It felt like this should be the case. If not, how could Mark be happy? And at this time, Mark, naturally, didn't know what these few people thought. But if he knew, we'll definitely say, not worthy of my teammates. Surprisingly guessed right 7 or 8. Unfortunately, Mark does not know. Going home. At this time, Isabella was watching a drama in the living room, because Isabella was in LPL until middle school, so there was no problem above Chinese. After seeing Mark come back, that was also very surprised. Why are you back so early today? You wait a moment, I will go to heat up a meal for you. By the way, there is bath water, I will prepare it for you later, slippers. Obviously, Mark's appearance made Isabella's rhythm slightly messed up. After all, the previous Mark were nearly 11 o'clock before coming back, now a lot earlier, naturally surprising. Just as Isabella was about to go and get busy with her up and down, Mark pulled Isabella back and said, let's not go do that first. Let me tell you something first. What is it that needs to be so solemn? Could it be something between the two of them? Thinking of this, Isabella's face had started to blush. After coming over here, Isabella had carried out a series of strategy maneuvers and had even gone to ask her future mother-in-law for advice. Now is it finally effective? Thinking of this, Isabella had some small happiness in her heart. However, the next second, Mark opened his mouth and said, I'm going to play the day after tomorrow. Happy. Mark was happy, but after hearing this, Isabella's face completely froze, and even that I started to lose its light, that's all, she thought. At this moment, Isabella realized how heavy her duties were, but it was also a good thing. Isabella naturally knew how Mark had been over the years. She had done her homework before coming here, and after 3 years of hard work, it was good news that she finally had a chance to get on the field. Being on the field might not be the same as being a player, but Isabella had seen Mark's rank and didn't feel there was anything wrong with it. Moreover, at this moment, Isabella was calling herself Mark's wife. If she didn't trust Mark, who else would? Congratulations. Then should we celebrate today? Mark, how to celebrate? Of course. After understanding Isabella's way of celebrating, Mark said that he can't afford to consume it. Let's wait for a while on this one. Let's go to dinner first now. Eat a full meal. Good to work. Isabella here was in no hurry either. From the moment she came over here, Mark was the fish on the chopping board. It's just a matter of time. And you can tell by looking at the posture of the two of them now. Before they were facing each other, but now they are sitting on one side. This is the benefit of a strategy, so it's good to take your time. After eating her fill, Isabella opened her mouth and said, exactly which day is the match? At that time, I'll go to the scene to see you. Live? Right. There's one more thing, this. What is it? Only to see Mark take out his cell phone. On it was the recent gossip news. There is one of them. Shocked. Isabella is suspected to be dating an LPL male arm in arm, gesturing intimately, as if they were newlyweds. When this news came out, Isabella was dumbfounded. This? Mark? I was secretly photographed when I went to the mall before. This is a very dangerous situation. You have to be careful, eh? Oops. That's great. At that moment, this one froze. What was this woman in front of him talking about? Mark's idea was simple. Nowadays in this era there would always be some irrational fans who might do something not so good because of their impulsiveness. And for that reason Mark wanted Isabella to be careful. But Isabella's focus, it seems, is not on that. What was this one talking about? Not bad. Look at this headline. Newlyweds. This fan is so discerning. Not these. The focus really isn't on those. So, let's go get a license and make this news real. Mark was completely speechless. Should I say Isabella had a big heart or no brain? Forget it. We'll talk about this afterward. Let's watch the game at home this time. It feels like you might be in danger during this time, so it's better to be careful in all aspects. Are you concerned about me? You're just caring about me. Are you afraid that something will happen to me? While speaking, Isabella took the initiative to lean up. That posture was like a kitten, with that finger falling on Mark's chest. This one's seductiveness was raised to the highest. Finally, Mark couldn't help it and stood up, then opened his mouth. That's all I'm saying, okay. I'm going to go play rank. Looking at Mark's back, the smile on Isabella's face grew even wider. Is this hemming it up? That's right. It was a hasty escape. For a moment, Isabella feels like her little life may not be far away. Playing rank. 3 games in a row. The score reached 300, which wasn't a big number. But the problem was the winning streak. 20 consecutive wins. At this moment, the entire official group exploded. OMG head coach TT. I'm going. Another 3 consecutive victories. We head coach Grant. All playing positions? Are you sure it's one person? VG head coach Fumando. Of course it's one person. It's all fielding positions, and they all carry. I watched one game, and it's scary in every aspect. But the most scary thing is the awareness and execution. It's just like an experienced player. EDG head coach Yanni. I'm sure it's one person. EDG head coach Yanni. Could it be some player's trumpet? VG head coach Fu Manchu. No. It shouldn't be a player's trumpet. Maybe it's good in all aspects. But the gap between the roadies' playing style and the tournaments is still obvious. I can tell that. We head coach Grant. Okay, I'll take this player. OMG head coach TT. It's the same as before. Whoever connects first is the one who gets it. OMG head coach TT. It's the same as before. Whoever connects first gets it. The group exploded. There was no way anyone would want a player with potential. On top of that, there's the fact that the cost of training players isn't very high. An LPL player with a base price of $2 million, but a youth training team player with an annual salary of up to $40,000 and a few $1,000,000 left over if you get it right. It was a surefire deal, even if there is a failure case. But as long as one succeeds, it is a steady profit. So the battle team wants this kind of new player. Is it possible to get in touch? It's hard. After all, when this idea appeared, many club managers had already begun to take action, and the easiest way was to add game friends. But the result wasn't too good, because none of the additions were successful. Why game friends? Because it can only be added through this way, because the official personal information of the players is kept secret. Want to add through other channels? No way. This is the only way. Many clubs began to take action, including IG Club. Anyone would want a player with high potential, but whether or not you can ask for them depends on your own luck. After all, at this time, Mark had absolutely no idea of adding friends. Started resting after playing rank. Soon, a day passed, and Isabella's matter was buzzing on the internet. But then it was also squashed by other news. That was the group stage battle. The top 8 could make it to the playoffs. The top 4 could make it to the Intercontinental Tournament, and this round was the last chance. The ones in front wanted to keep their spots. The ones at the back want to put up one last fight. You know, a lot of teams hide things at the start of the tournament, but that's at the start of the tournament, and by the 3rd round of the group stage. Hide something? Hide what? Especially with the start of the tournament. The first day of the tournament came straight out of a blowout. EDG. Don't look at the world's record, but inside the LPL, this is still the #1 team. Top of the group stage and a very high win rate. Tied with RNG for first place. But this is the EDG, but was defeated by the bottom 4 OMG team. This wave directly is to make LPL 1 heat to an unimaginable height, because this is the plot that people like to see. Jedi flipped. Who want to see? Mark's match, on the other hand, was scheduled for the next day. The team that faced off against it was VG.